webinar. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'll get started. Welcome all to this session of our Let Us Talk It webinars. We, literally, we have our Independence Day coming day after tomorrow here in the US, and then we have our Independence Day in India next month. So, what crossed my mind was overcoming colonial rule is certainly a good reason to celebrate. But recently, with this much of uncertainty and what's going around us, if we can overcome a little bit of that, I would definitely feel that it would be independence to individually for ourselves. And what could be better to have a topic like how to manage uncertainty, learn strategies to manage anxiety, shift your mindset, and innovate in times of uncertainty. And here we are with this amazing topic, I think, right on time. And to deliver and to delve deep into the topic, we have a millennial, Mudit Yadav, with us. He is the founder of My Success Coach and works as a keynote speaker and internationally certified success coach. He has spoken to more than 400,000 people from more than 48 countries, and also at multiple TEDx events, and which I have heard him speaking on YouTube as well. He is the author of the book Be Invincible: The Mindset, Skills, and Habits for Sustainable Growth and Success. At 23, he had become India's youngest coach and also works with celebrities, executives, and entrepreneurs to be more successful, develop greater presence, enhance their communication, and lead a life of abundance. He has conducted sessions for Google India, IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, XLRI, Big Four firms, and of course, after today's session, we can add Let Us Talk It webinars as well. He represented India in 2014 at London for a speech contest and ranked finalist among 44,000 global contestants. He is also a chartered accountant and ex-strategy consultant from PwC. Now, Mudit, can you realize that how incompetent we feel after we read that profile of yours? But you don't know how much of an inspiration you are. Thank you so much. Over to you. We are absolutely overwhelmed and honored to have you on our session.
Thanks, Julian. You have no clue how embarrassed I feel when the introduction is being read. I'm happy that we are having webinars now because when the same introduction is being read when I'm on stage, I don't know where to look. At least here I have the option to switch out the video when I feel very embarrassed. And it is an honor to be here. I love the work that you're doing and the range of topics. And special thanks to everyone who's made it to this webinar from whatever time zone you're joining in. Before I begin, may I request you, if possible, to close your eyes and observe 30 seconds of silence for all of those people who thought that working from home is going to be much easier than working from office. No, but seriously, so that's where the uncertainty comes in, right? You have a certain expectation, like, I wish I could wake up, I didn't have to go to any office, and I could work from home in my pajamas and everything. And now you realize that it's not that your Mondays are looking like your Fridays are looking like your Mondays. That's what happens when your office came to your home rather than the other way around. And Julian introduced this topic really well, how to deal with uncertainty. And Pierre, who's just joined the webinar, I love the comment that he made before we even started. We don't know what we don't know. But uncertainty for us human beings is one of the largest negative drivers. I remember I was talking to one of the members of the armed forces in India, one of the commanders, And I said, you know what? It's so difficult for you to wake up the training and you run for 20 kilometers, 40 kilometers, whatever it is. And he said, you know, Mudit, that's not what is difficult. What is difficult is sometimes they would have us wake up and ask us to run and not tell us whether we are running 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 40 or 80. They would just say, we'll tell you. And that was more painful because on those days when they didn't tell us how far we have to run, those days were the days we got tired the earliest. That's how much uncertainty impacts us as human beings. Every single morning, you watch the news about when the vaccine is going to be developed, what is the fresh count, etc. What you're trying to do is put some certainty around this uncertainty that is going on with us right now. And what I'm here to tell you through this webinar today, one of the key points is that while trying to put certainty around uncertainties is great and we are used to it, you see, even now that you have Google Maps, the times when you used to step out of the house, even if it's your regular route, sometimes you check on Google Maps, okay, how long is it going to take me? Is it going to take me 20 minutes, 22 minutes, 24 minutes, 26 minutes? We always want certainty. In the past, soothsayers, astrologers have always tried to give certainty to your life. We follow them. Today, regression analysis, charts and graphs try to tell us the future. We watch the weather report every morning. We are trying to make uncertain things certain. But your vacation plans for 2020 have taught you that no matter how much certainty you try to bring to your life, you have absolutely no clue what's going to happen the next moment. So number one thing about dealing with uncertainty is accepting uncertainty, knowing that there is uncertainty and I can't do anything about it. And because I can't do anything about it, I should not try to do anything about it. You know, and as I share this with you, my mind goes back to 1963, when Valentina Tereshkova, who was an astronaut from the Soviet Union, was selected from over 400 applicants to have a space journey. That was called the Vostok 6 mission. Extensive training, hundreds of the best scientists in the world were involved in that project, of the 6th project. The launch was in order, everything was going well. And when Valentina was in space, she realized that a space capsule was programmed to launch from Earth, but there was no descending mechanism. That means the space capsule wasn't programmed to get back to Earth. Now imagine you are in Valentina Tereshkova's position, thousands of miles away from home, in empty space, and realizing that your spacecraft is not programmed to return to Earth. You would freak out, wouldn't you? But she did not. She dialed back from the capsule to the chief scientist in the control room, Sergei Korolev, and said, this is what is happening. They got the game in position, sent her the coordinates, she put the code in, and she herself coded the capsule to come back to Earth. And she came back to Earth, lived a great life to tell the tale. You see, the reason I'm sharing this story with you is even when hundreds of the smartest people in the world came together for the Vostok 6th mission, that means they've had 5 such missions in the past, even with the best preparation possible on the planet, they could not let go of the uncertainty that was around space travel. Even then, there was an opportunity for something going wrong. They could not get the mission 100% in their control. And if they could not, and there are multiple such examples, then even we should not try to control the uncertainty aspect of our lives. But the challenge with uncertainty, and especially in a challenging time like this, is we start thinking in non-negative terms. Who here is saying 2020 is going to be the best year of my life? Nobody's saying that, except maybe Eric Yuan or Jeff Bezos who are becoming richer by the day. But I'm sure even they have their challenges. Nobody's saying 2020 is going to be the best year of my life, because when there is a lot of uncertainty and challenges that are surrounding us, we don't think of innovation, we don't think of growth. As humans, we think of survival, we think of non-negatives. Nobody's thinking, I'm going to have a promotion this year. People are thinking, I want to save my job this year. I don't want to lose my job. So what's the difference? You're thinking, I don't want to lose my job versus I want a promotion. Maybe you were looking at a promotion before COVID happened, but now you're not looking at a promotion, you're looking at not losing my job. You're not looking at earning a lot of money. You're looking at, I should not run out of money. You're not looking at being healthy. You're looking at, I should not catch the virus. You see, I should not. So when we shift from the growth mindset to the survival mindset, you start thinking in should nots rather than I want to. And I call this non-negative thinking, which is the difference between growth mindset and survival mindset. But here's the problem with non-negative thinking. It's required. It is a mechanism that is inside you. It is hardwired through generations of evolution of your brain. You're in the survival mindset because that is what is important right now, survival. But the challenge with the survival mindset and the challenge with thinking in non-negative terms in the survival mindset is this. Let me do a very quick experiment with you. You may have done this before, but let us see it right now. I will give you a simple instruction. All I want you to do is follow that simple instruction, all right? The instruction is, do not think about a pink elephant. Don't think about a pink elephant. What you are doing right now is you are thinking about a pink elephant. How does this work? See, what is happening here is, even when you're thinking about not thinking about something that you don't want to think about, you're still thinking about that thing. Like that song that's stuck in your head. You know, you hear this weird song, you don't like it, but it's stuck in your head, it keeps playing in your head. And the more you think about getting rid of that song, it plays in your head even more. That's the thing with negative thoughts. The more you think about, I don't want to think about this, the more you are actually thinking about it. Okay, Mudita, I understood what the problem is. Now tell me what to do. What do I do with these negative thoughts now? What do I do now? Think about a green elephant. Are you thinking of a green elephant? Now, when you're thinking of a green elephant, you are not thinking about a pink elephant that you didn't want to think about. And so if you're thinking in non-negative terms, you're still thinking about negative. And that is why I want to rewire your language, not just to others, but to yourself, from thinking in non-negative terms to thinking in optimistic terms. I don't want to catch the virus, to I want to become healthy. I want to stay healthy. I don't want to lose my job, to how can I work on expanding my career even here? I don't want this to be the worst year of my life. I want this to be a great year of my life. Rewiring that conversation will completely shift your perspective. And if there is a problem right now, history has told us that problems have always allowed humankind to not think in the survival mindset, but actually think in the growth mindset. World War II was done. I think Germany had just vacated Netherlands, but the worst was yet to come for them when a storm hit. Now, Netherlands, you should know, as a country, is about 26% of the country is below sea level. And so if a storm or a cyclone comes, you can imagine the kind of devastation that it can cause. And a few years after World War II, when such a cyclone did come, hundreds of people died, thousands of people were displaced. I think about 70,000 people were displaced and 200,000 farm animals died. The Dutch people decided that this cannot be. What do we do now? And so they planned on making these dikes outside, right? They already had dikes, but they were not good enough for that storm which hit them. I think it was the 1950s or the 1960s. I need to check the date. And so their old dikes broke, and now the Delta Committee is put in place to consider, what do we do now? How do we get done with this? So they decide, okay, we'll make a dike. the system of dikes and artificial islands, which will make sure that we can protect ourselves from these future storms. But the budget was too high. They somehow arranged the budget. Now, when they arranged the budget, the plan was passed. They realized that if they put those dikes in place, what will happen is the marine temperatures and the ecosystem around the country would change. That would do two things. Number one, the fishing ecosystem, etc., would die. So it would be a loss of livelihood. The second is people didn't want the environment to be hurt. Imagine 1950s, 1960s, people didn't want the environment to be hurt. I'm proud of them. And so they went back to the drawing board to construct it in such a way that the environment is not hurt. Even with such a budget constraint in such short time frame, they're still able to make a system where the environment doesn't get hurt and they're able to protect themselves from the storm. But there was another challenge that was coming up. The other challenge was, if we make dikes like that, our ports may get blocked. So international trade and our river systems will get blocked. How will we do that? And so they made dikes which are actually movable. That means when the ship comes in, the dikes can move. They did that. And today, the Netherlands, the Dutch system of dikes and artificial islands is the best water management system in the world. It is one of the modern wonders of the world. And today, if anybody needs such an assistance, they go to nobody, but they call a Dutch firm. For example, when I think in New Orleans, there was a storm in, I think, Hurricane Katrina, which drowned 80% of the city. Who did they call? They called a Dutch firm, Arcadis, to make sure that they make a system wherein flood like that don't devastate them in future. Now, if the flood problem didn't happen in Netherlands, if they didn't face that uncertainty, then they would have never come up with that engineering marvel. So they didn't think in non-negative terms, they thought in positive terms. Look at a country like Israel, such a young country, and surrounded by not the best of neighbors. If you thought you have bad neighbors, think about Israel with Syria and Iran and Iraq, etc. And plus, all of these countries come together and say, okay, we are going to attack Israel for the waters that they're using and all of these different things, whatever geopolitics was going on. They assemble an army, they want to attack Israel, and their combined army of these 5 or 6 countries is twice the Israeli army. And the Israelis aircrafts fly in the sky even before the war begins, destroys most of their aircrafts and tanks even before they can start the war. And the war was over before it began. Because Israel knows it is surrounded by neighbors like that, it has compulsory military commission. Because Israel knows it is surrounded by neighbors like that, it has one of the best agencies in the world, the Mossad. Because Israel knows it is surrounded by neighbors like that, it has one of the rest of the world's best tech companies. It has invested in technology, on its spy equipment, on its military. I don't need to talk about Israel's achievements in such a short span of time with so many problems. How was the country able to do that? It was because it faced uncertainty around its neighbors. It's because it faced problems. Not far away from my home, I live here in Mumbai, India. And a few hundred kilometers from here is the city of Bangalore, or Bengaluru, as its modern name is. I don't know if you've been to Bangalore. Lovely weather, lovely food, terrible traffic. So in Bangalore, they have this really old restaurant called MTR, Mavalli Tiffin Rooms. I think, guys, in the US, you would be getting those packed food, those packets of MTR, but they actually began as a small restaurant, I think in 1924. Now, when the World War II came in, they make all these South Indian dishes, which are very rice intensive, the idlis and the dosas. Sorry if I'm getting your mouth to water. I'm on a fast right now. I do intermittent fasting, so my mouth is watering. Should get a sip of water. Idlis and dosas feel the best in the country. They make it there. But when the World War II started, the shortage of rice. And when there was shortage of rice, they did not know how to make the staple food idli. So they said, what do we do now? They had to invent something else. It was not out of choice. And so they invented Rava idli. And today, people from across India travel to MTR Bangalore, not to eat their rice idli, but to eat their Rava idli. If that uncertainty, that problem hadn't come, they would have never invented something like that. And so if there is a problem in your life right now, I'm not saying problems are great, problems suck, they're bad. But now that the problem is here, you have two choices. Number one, do I think about this in non-negative terms of preserving what I have? And number two, I find out a way to, because this problem is disrupting my patterns of thinking and living, I find out a way to think in a different direction about my life, my career, the organization that I'm working for, the role, my family, my passion, my purpose, whatever it is. This is the opportunity. In a regular day, in a regular time, you don't get this opportunity because when times are great, there is no will to do something different, right? And the reason it is a difficult time right now is we are in a phase, and I love this word, it's called liminality. Liminality is a phase wherein we know that the future is not going to be the same as the past. The past is over and the future is going to be different. But how different? And what is going to be different about the future? We don't know that yet. And we won't know it until the vaccine comes in and the economy recovers a little bit. So we are in this transition phase in between on the past that is behind us and the future that is unknown. And this little phase in between is called liminality. So you and I are right now in a phase of liminality where we're not sure what's going to happen in the future, and we know that the past is not going to be the same. And so it is scary. And a lot of people tell me I'm afraid, which I'll come to in just a bit. But I love this beautiful quote by E.L. Dr. Rao, is that life is like a night drive. You can never see beyond your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. I'll repeat that. Life is like a night drive. You can never see beyond the headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. Talking about being afraid, a lot of people tell me, Udit, I'm afraid, top executives who I'm coaching, Udit, I'm afraid what's going to happen. Udit, I'm afraid if I'll have to fire some people. Let us try and understand what being afraid of what fear really means. Now, what you're feeling right now is not fear, but it is anxiety. How does it matter? I'm feeling something, right? Okay, let me try and understand, explain why it matters. And what's the difference between anxiety and fear? Recall the time when you were going for that difficult exam that you had not prepared for. And there are some engineers on the call today. And I know how engineers study. They study the night before the exam. At least engineers here in India. I think the ones in the US are more serious. My brother went to Purdue University. He's on the call today. I know he studied more seriously. My friends here who are engineering students, who were engineering students, have all studied the night before. But whether you are a great student or a not so great student, to put it mildly, imagine the evening before that difficult exam paper. Really go back to that time. Imagine that time when you're walking to the exam hall. Imagine that time. How did you feel then? What you felt then was anxiety. And when the question paper came in front of you, what you felt then was fear. So anxiety is the anticipation of fear. That's what anxiety is. And that's the difference between anxiety and fear. Let me give you a couple of more examples. You're passing through a forest. You see the grass rustling. You're not sure what's behind that grass. Is it the wind? Is it a tiger? I don't know. Anxiety. The face of the tiger comes out from that grass. Fear. When I was in college, there was this girl I wanted to talk to on Valentine's Day. I remember having a rose in my hand behind me, walking towards her, my strategy in place. I knew what I had to say. I feel like my heart's gonna beat itself out of my chest. The feeling that I'm having then, anxiety. I expressed my feeling to her. She had an expression on her face. What I felt then, I think you got it by now, fear. So what are you feeling right now about the future and about business and about your health and about your career It's anxiety. And the reason it is important to understand this distinction is anxiety is a positive emotion. You have anxiety before any important event of your life. It is your body's mechanism to get ready for something that's important. If we didn't have anxiety before our exams, we would never perform well in our exams. You'd never prepare for them. I had anxiety before this session, even after doing 1,500 or 2,000 speeches across the world. If I don't have anxiety before the session, I will not prepare for this session. And perhaps you may not enjoy it. If you don't have anxiety before that proposal, you will not make the best of that proposal. So anxiety is a positive emotion. It is the best attention redirection tool that your body and mind have. Fear is a positive, is a negative emotion. When you're afraid, you freeze. You don't know what to do. And hence, when you feel anxiety right now, tell yourself, first is acceptance. Okay, I accept that I'm feeling anxious right now. And second is embracing it. I love anxiety. It is good for me. I'm okay with it. Okay, well, I got it, but I accept it. Now what? I mean, how does it help? This experiment that was conducted, there were people, their brain activities are being mapped, right? The circuits are firing and whatever's going on. The brain activities are being mapped, and each of these participants are being made to feel a certain emotion. Somebody is made to feel, they're shown a video or a photo that makes them happy. Somebody is made to feel sad. Subject C is made to feel angry. Subject D embarrassed, so on and so forth. So everybody is made to feel a different emotion, and their brain activities are being tracked, right? And then each one of them is asked to describe the emotion that they're feeling. The happy guy says, I'm feeling happy. The sad guy says, I'm feeling sad. They try to explain the emotion. Angry guy, angry. Embarrassed guy says, I'm feeling embarrassed, this and that. You know what happened to their brain activity when they said this? Their brain activity reduced. So the happy people and the happy person try to describe he's happy, the happiness reduced. When the sad person tried to describe he's sad, the sadness reduced. When the angry person tried to describe he's angry, the anger reduced, so on and so forth. So just being able to recognize an emotion actually reduces the intensity of the emotion. So if you're feeling angry anytime, you can actually tell yourself, I'm feeling angry right now. And as obvious or stupid as it may sound, that actually does wonders in trying to reduce your anger. When I'm coaching top executives, they're stressed about something, or they're angry about a deal that didn't go through, etc. We sit in that session, they're still in that deal, they're not in the session with me. How do I get them back in the session? I ask them, how are you feeling right now? What are you feeling about this? 10 or 12 minutes exploring on how they're feeling. And before they realize, they've kept the emotion behind and they're focusing on the action. And for these people, time is of essence. So they can't afford to spend that much time on overthinking. And how do I get them into the session at that point in time? Through helping them recognize that emotion. So if you're able to recognize right now, what I'm feeling right now is anxiety and it is okay. Let me embrace it. You actually reduce your anxiety. And another way to reduce anxiety is by thinking about, in any situation that comes in your life, a very simple formula. Think about two questions. The first question is, what am I trying to control in this situation that I cannot control? The second question is, what is it that I can control in this situation that I'm doing nothing about? For those of you who want to note down, I'll repeat this. You ask yourself two questions in any given situation. The first question is, what is it that I'm trying to control in the situation that I cannot do anything about? The second question is, what is it that I can do something about, but I'm doing nothing about? When we're faced with a problem, we spend a lot of time thinking about things that we can't change anything. Oh, why did it have to happen this way? This is the worst timing for this crisis. God had this vacation plan, this, that. Focusing on what you cannot change. And it is doing no benefit to you. And that is taking away your limited thinking energy to what you would have focused on otherwise, and what can I still do in this situation. One of my friends, he was a director at one of the big four consulting firms. He used to be a client, turned to be a friend, and they got closer to his family. And his family was super excited. They were a little kid. They had to go to Canada, right? The visa was in place. He had a job offer. He resigned from the big four entity here in India. And he was about to board a flight in 2 weeks. They had put the money, they had done the packing, they had sold the house furniture, everything around that. COVID-19 hits. His job offer in Canada is rescinded. Nobody is hiring here in India. This guy is stuck at his place without a job at the age of 45 with a wife and a kid. I'm talking to him and I tell him, this is the worst timing for this crisis to happen to you. And he said, not really, Mudit. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, actually, I realized in the last 22 days that, I didn't know how to live without a domestic help. Yeah, there in Canada, I would have to live all by myself. And I realized I don't know how to do housework. I don't know how to cook sambar. I don't know how to cook idli. He comes from southern India. And so in the last 15 or 20 days, this was just when the lockdown began here in India and we were speaking, I actually learned how to do all of these things. So maybe this lockdown here in India is like a crash course before I move to Canada. So I'm enjoying my time. And I don't know since my son was born, when I was able to play with him, make sketches with him, discover different hobbies, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. How are you doing this? Like you told me, I'm not focusing on what I cannot do anything about. And I spoke to him a week or two ago, and there's still no movement on his job offer. I am more worried about him than he is for himself. There's so much power that you have when you tell yourself, I cannot control this, and so I won't try to control it. I'll just speak for about 8 to 10 minutes, and I'll talk about an experiment. And it's a story. That experiment never actually happened. But it's an interesting story, and it teaches us a lot about our behaviors. And I would like to invest the final 8 to 10 minutes on this experiment and a couple of more points so that we can make the most of this time that we have wherein this phase of liminality is going through. Okay, so this is called the monkey ladder experiment, which it is as funny as it sounds. So there were 8 monkeys. They were put in a cage. Now in the cage, there are 8 monkeys. There's a ladder, and on top of the ladder, there is a bunch of bananas, which is hanging. So whenever a monkey tries to climb the ladder and grab a banana, all the monkeys are sprayed with icy cold water. A few monkeys try a few times to go and grab it, but they're sprayed with icy cold water. Now they're not trying. Now, it so happens that they know they're going to be sprayed with icy cold water. They don't want to try to get the bananas. But if any of the monkeys ever tries to get the bananas, the other monkeys pull him down and beat him because they don't want to get sprayed with cold water. Now, it so happens that out of the 8 monkeys, the scientists replace one monkey with a new monkey who doesn't know how things happen around here. And so this new monkey, who has never been sprayed with cold water, tries to climb the ladder. Now, the scientists have stopped spraying cold water, but the monkeys don't know that. So the new monkey, who's never been sprayed with cold water, tries to get the bananas, wondering, why is nobody getting those bananas? The other monkeys pull him down, the older monkeys, and they beat him. The new monkey is confused. He tries again, the other monkeys pull him down and beat him. He doesn't know why they're doing that, but all right. The scientists replace a second old monkey with a new monkey. Now there are these 2 monkeys who've never been sprayed with cold water. The second monkey now tries to climb the ladder to get the bananas. All the other monkeys pull him down and beat him, including the one new monkey who had never been sprayed with cold water. The third monkey was replaced. Now there are 3 new monkeys, 5 old monkeys. The third monkey tries to get the bananas. The other monkeys pull him down and beat him, including the 2 new monkeys who never got sprayed with cold water. Now, if you Slowly, all of those monkeys were replaced by new monkeys. Now there are 8 new monkeys. None of them ever got sprayed with cold water. But whenever a monkey tries to climb the ladder to get those bananas, the other monkeys pull him down and beat him. And if you ask those monkeys, why are you doing this? Maybe the monkey would say, well, I don't know. That's how things happen around here. When was the last time you heard those words? I don't know. That's how things happen around here. When I was at a consulting firm, I heard these exact combination of words multiple times. And when these words are said, think of it that sooner or later, that business, that person, or that company is going to get disrupted. Because while they're focusing on the what of things, they've forgotten why they even began to do certain things. And so if there is a disruption going on right now in your business processes, it is a good time for you to come back, take a step back, and ask why. And as leaders, if you're listening to this, I wanted to encourage that culture of people asking why and people asking the tough questions. And for all those who are to be leaders in future, make sure that you talk to your leaders in a positive manner, in a questioning manner, out of curiosity, not out of interrogation. Why are we doing this? And is there any way to do it better? And here's an alternate solution that I propose. In Japan, they have these cube-shaped watermelons. Cube-shaped watermelons, and why do they do that? First of all, how do they grow cube-shaped watermelons? Are supposed to be round, right? They grow cube-shaped watermelons because when watermelons are little, they're just growing up. They put a cube around the plant, so when the watermelon grows, its shape and size gets restricted to the cube, and so it becomes a cube-shaped watermelon. They do it for the ease of transport, because round objects are harder to transport than cube-shaped objects. I really think that our thinking, you and I both, our thinking has got restricted to an invisible cube. Because we talk to the same kind of people every day, we watch the same kind of news, switch on the same kind of channels, watch the same kind of shows, read the same kind of things. And so you don't know, but there's this cube-shaped thought bubble that is around you right now. And more than ever right now, you need to take the opportunity to disrupt your own thought process. And how do you do that? Read something that you don't like to read, something different. Talk to somebody who you're not comfortable in talking to. Watch the kind of show that you're not comfortable watching. How do these things help? They help because they poke that cube-shaped bubble that you have around your thought process, and it expands it. Because when you are talking to the same kind of people, reading the same kind of things, watching the same kind of things, there's a pattern which develops in your thinking. And it's important for you to break that pattern. And there is no better time to break that pattern when there is a natural disruption that is going on around you, like it is going on around right now. And for disruption like this, and for disruptions in the future, the number one thing that will help you keep moving, and a word which you may have heard a lot of times in the past, I'm not talking about social distancing, I'm talking about agility. And what I mean about agility here is, okay, you have a primary skill set that you rely on, but do you have a secondary skill set that you can fall back on? You are used to working with a certain kind of team, but can you very quickly work with a different kind of team? You're used to having a certain things in a certain way, but can you have things in a different way? You're used to learning a certain way, can you learn in a different way? You're used to doing one kind of job, can you quickly do another kind of job? You're used to working in one location, can you quickly move on to another location? You have one skill right now, can you quickly learn another skill? That is what is agility. Mental agility, physical agility, agility to work with different kinds of people. If you're not agile right now, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted because my mind goes back to a scene in the Mahabharata when Bhim and Lord Hanuman were talking to each other. So Lord Hanuman is a god in the Hindu scriptures. Mahabharata is an Indian epic. So Lord Hanuman is perhaps the strongest being in the universe, and Bhim is perhaps the strongest being on planet Earth. And Hanuman tells Bhim that, my son, remember, agility and strength are not different things. Agility is strength. And that is a message that the last message that I'd like to leave you today with is agility and strength are not different things. Agility is strength. So think about all of those things that you're uncomfortable doing and make sure that you start to do a little bit of them. Because in case you have to do more of them in future, you are ready for it. Great. That was from my side. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know. And Julan, over to you.
Oh my God. Did the webinar end?